Reality is about to get very loud, very intense, very energetically loud. It's that feeling that you get when you go to the mall. And it's just a bombardment of energies and frequencies, and you're overwhelmed and you're tired, and you come home and you say, no more, I can't go out in public. It's just too hectic. I need to take a week off to recover from a little mission to the mall. That's where we are right now. We're beginning to experience the loudness of the energetic field to the point that it affects us, and then we mistakenly think, but it's okay, it's just contained to the mall. So if I just avoid the mall, I'll be okay. Then you're going to have to avoid more public spaces, and you'll carry on doing that. And then you're going to have to avoid being alive, because do you know what's happening? The darkness that was once buried is being brought to the surface by the massive influxes of light that are hitting our timeline. And that's what's happening right now. We've had a big surge of cosmic light that's hit the timeline. And as it hits the timeline, it unsettles all the darkness. I wouldn't say it makes it impossible. I would say it makes it harder for humanity to hold the level of darkness that they were holding, which is their betrayals, their hurts, their undealt with traumas, their wounds, their ancestral baggage. Combine that with all the electromagnetic disturbance from all the cell phone towers, the modems that were around, the electronic devices that were around. All of that energy becomes the bombardment that we think is contained to a location. But what we're going to find is that the more light that hits the timeline, the more darkness gets displaced. And every now and then, like now, we have a big surge of light, which releases, almost purges, a tremendous amount of density. And as that happens, it begins to sit in the field around us. So now it's not contained to the mall. Now that field of darkness is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then there's nowhere left to go. And obviously, you can't not be alive. That's not the answer we're looking for. This is about, how do I not just be alive, how do I thrive in this when there's nowhere left to hide? You know, I remember being a kid, sitting in my bed, being petrified of the dark, of the monsters. And how many children today, maybe you as a child, went through the same thing? That fear of the darkness is something that's become so automated into our consciousness that we are, in a sense, born into that way of being, which is to disempower ourselves to the power of darkness, which actually feeds darkness. We were born to a false matrix. And in being born to a false matrix, we were born to a highly manipulated world, riddled with darkness, riddled with lies that we innocently, almost naively walked into and said, oh, this is normal. Oh, right, yeah, you have to work for a living. No one else on the planet does. And that seems pretty normal. That seems like what modern man needs to do. Okay, yeah. So we became so conditioned to normalize the abnormality of where we were living that we stopped seeing it as dark. We just thought this was normal. And we began to participate in a very dark world. And by the way, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to work, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't earn money. I'm simply saying that we didn't see the depravities and the corruptions that we're only just beginning to see right now. And really, I mean that we're only just beginning. Nonetheless, we learned as children to hide from the darkness. So the reason we did that is because we didn't know the power of our light. We didn't know the power of our light as children. We certainly don't know the power of our light as adults. And there's a reason why. Because it hasn't been available to us. The false matrix was a quarantine zone. It was a frequency net. So that's why I refer to it as a mental prison, because it was an imprisonment into the mental realm, which is a specific, very shallow frequency that we were trapped into. So it's not because there was no light surrounding us. It's because we couldn't tune in. We couldn't connect. We didn't have the receptors to experience the frequencies of light that surrounded us. But we did have the receptors to experience the frequencies of helplessness and hopelessness and victimhood and all of those denser frequencies, and still today. That's it's almost like we've got the practice. We're very well versed at tapping into trauma or into pain or into all of those dense emotions. How many people do you know walk around having conversations like this? I always knew bliss, but now the level of bliss that I'm experiencing is a level beyond anything I've ever known before. I mean, we've always been unconditionally loved, but my ability to experience that unconditional love is heightened. We don't really have conversations like that. Instead, we have conversations like, oh, my anxiety is getting worse, my depression's getting deeper. Again, that's because of what we're tuned into and what we normalized. As children, and this is really from when we were born to the whole era before 2012, we were very much embedded into that false matrix frequency net where we couldn't access light. Now, here's an alarming truth. And I don't say alarming truth, to sound clickbaity. This is really an alarming truth. And that is, we weren't connecting to the light, that is the true light of God's world, of the divine matrix or the organic universe. What we were connecting to was a highly depotentized, highly dilute light. We were living in an illusory world. So we were connecting to a sliver of light surrounded by a lot of illusion. So we became very confused. We had ideas of spirituality and even of love, our conditional way of giving love or even of receiving love. All of that was very, very confused. So if I were to give you a visual, I would say, imagine that there was a strand, just a thin strand of golden light. And imagine that that strand of golden light is what connected you to God, to the original omnipotent love source that you come from. Just that strand of golden light. And around that strand of golden light was a mist of confusion and discombobulation and density. That's the light that we were. So when I say to you, we didn't have access to light, that's what we were accessing. That strand of pure light consciousness surrounded by a lot of illusion, a lot of confusion, a lot of density, a lot of messed up ideas that we held, and they were interwoven so neatly into our reality that we couldn't pick them apart and go, oh, that's an untruth and that's a truth. It all just got smushed together and we just said, oh, that's love, oh, that's light, oh, that's higher consciousness. So when I say to people, you weren't connecting, pre-2012, we weren't connecting with light, people go, oh my God, what is she saying? Of course I was connecting to light. Of course I was connecting to God. I've always had a close relationship to light. Yeah, but the frequency was so dilute. And of course we didn't know that. Now we have access to a level of light that is bigger than, more magnificent than, more divine than we've got the faculties to comprehend. The light that we're connecting to now is coming through from 2012 to now. It's accelerating, not even by the month, not by the minute it's accelerating. And what's happening now is the cracks of the false matrix are beginning to unwittingly, from the perspective of the false matrix, from the perspective of darkness, that false matrix is collapsing, crumbling to the point that it's unwittingly allowing in light, true light from the cosmic realm that surrounds us, that was always there, remember, but couldn't get through that frequency net, couldn't permeate into the false matrix. Now it is. Now it is. And it's that when it comes in to the human bodies, it's that dislodges the density that was once stuck. So now people are going to be walking around with, in a sense, more density, but that's because there's more light coming in, releasing the density. Now, a light worker, who is somebody who works with light, just so there's never any confusion. I know I say this in most of my videos, but new people come in and watch my content all the time and ask the same question. How do I know if I'm a light worker? What's a light worker? It's someone who works with light. It is too simple for words. It is someone who works with light. There's no degree, there's no certificate, there's no board of members. It is simply, are you working with consciousness? Are you working with love? Are you working with higher frequency? Congratulations. Then you're a light worker. So the light workers, what we're learning to do, what we must do now, is begin to acknowledge the power of the light that we are, that we're plugged into. Because in so doing, we begin to acclimate to this light and set a new precedent on the planet, which is to be the example of one who can receive the light codes, absorb the light codes, and then nullify the density by dissolving the density into light. That's the full, complete healing that we're here to embody. A lot of light workers are so busy trying to teach others, and I know we're going to go to the question, but then Carrie, why are you teaching others? I'll get there. So many light workers are so concerned with, I've got to show everybody else how to do this, that they're forgetting that they need to do this. That's the most powerful thing you can do. I'm aware that I'm teaching right now even. However, that's tiny. It's a fragment. It's a small iota of what I'm really doing on the planet right now. My words take up that much space. My energy takes up the rest. And what I'm doing energetically is the example that we're all here to be for humanity, which is to be the love, to be the change, to be the alchemist that we are, that you are. An alchemist does not, this is really important, an alchemist does not push away darkness and say, oh, you're bad, I don't want you, go away, or even I'm scared of you and I'm going to put up a barrier and a barricade between me and you. I'm going to call you names. I'm going to try to diminish you. I'm going to try to belittle you. I'm going to hide in my bed and talk about the boogeyman that's trying to get me. I'm going to stop going to the mall because all of that darkness is around me. But then eventually, like I said, you're going to have to stop going to all public functions and then eventually stop being in the world because that darkness is taking up more space because it's getting discharged. So an alchemist will not push that darkness away. An alchemist knows the power of their light. And when your light is lit within you, it is like a flame of God. It is like a flame of love. It is a high frequency that begins to emanate and radiate. Darkness will always contract. Light will always exude. Now, recently I put up a post on who knows where, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, somewhere. And it spoke about darkness, and it said something along the lines of darkness would never want to be around light. Darkness will always run away. It doesn't want to be anywhere in the vicinity of light. So we don't need to chase darkness. We don't need to fear the darkness. We don't need to fight the darkness. We only need to be the light. And somebody wrote a comment and I thought, oh man, what a very important comment. They said, but hold on a minute. We were taught the opposite. We were taught that darkness is attracted to light. We were taught that, and I remember this as well. As a child even, I remember being taught something along the lines of, the boogeyman, the monsters, the dark beings, they are around you because you're a being of light and they're attracted to the light. So what does that say? What did that teach us? It taught us to diminish our light. That was a tool of darkness being used against us. But also remember that alarming truth that I told you about, which was the light that we were connecting to was not a pure light. It was an illusory light. There's actually a blog on my website, by the way, called False Light. And I'll link it in the comments below. That's going to give you more information about the light, the illusory light that we were connecting to. And yes, that is exactly what darkness was attracted to, that illusory light, because that's a very palatable cocktail of dark and light that they can really work with. Because, and when I say work with, they can consume, because that's really what they do. They live off of the light fields and the frequencies that we discharge when we can mix the light that we are with the darkness that we're surrounded by. Remember, we didn't have access to true light. We didn't have access to potent light, to powerful light. So darkness in the past was absolutely not going to run away from us. It was absolutely going to come running towards us. It's different now, but we have to receive those new light codes, don't we? We have to allow those new light codes in. And what have we done as a society? We've become very non-receptive. We've become so much into the pushing away, the protecting of self, that we don't let love in. We don't let light in. We don't let anything in. Or at least we battle to. You know, I love at the end of every video, the time that I get to spend with you where I share a love activation. It's at the end of almost all of my videos. And sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's 5 minutes. So always watch to the end, because that's where the real juice of the conversation lies. That's where the real gift is. But anyway, a lot of people say, Kerry, I really battle with that. I battle to get into what you're offering there. And I know that. Because I know not that those are not loving people. Those people are giving, very comfortable to give. They've lost the receptors to receive. And the receptivity is incredibly important. We just did a call 195 in the Plasma Light Tribe. That's my online community. And in call 195, we spoke a lot about humility and how imperative it is to be humble, which allows for the receptivity, which allows for the discarding of the illusion. The ego, that spiritual ego and the human ego, is the false self, and it is clothed in many layers of illusion. And when you're humble, all that it is taking off all of those layers of illusion. And it is that process that allows us to receive the light. It is that process that now activates the alchemist that we are. Light does the work for you when you're able to receive the light. Light does the work for you. It protects you. It alchemizes density and darkness for you. It supports the healing. You do the allowing. You're working with light. Right? When you're working with darkness, you're working for darkness. When you're working with light, it's not that you're working for light. You're working together as a team. It is truly with light, as light. One of the things that really surprised me, this was maybe a year ago, I could be wrong. I did a theme in the Plasma Light Tribe. And the theme that we did, we generally do themes, they're 4 weeks long. And the theme that we did was called Trust Your Light. And this is a great example of where the Plasma Light Tribe teaches me things. It's not just me teaching them, they teach me. The theme that we had was Trust Your Light. And the thing that I was so surprised to learn was how many people couldn't receive their light. How many people were hearing the teaching, yeah, trust your light, but I can't. Where is it? I can't feel it. I can't connect with it. And it's that humility that we don't know how to access, that we don't know how to step into to receive the light. It's a issue of connection. See, to receive light, to let light in, we must be able to connect with that light, which is to connect to a level of authenticity within ourselves. There were so many layers that came up in that Trust Your Light theme that people got to delve into and to work with. This became, and it continues to be, an unfolding theme that we get to go into deeper and deeper and deeper all the time, to get into deeper and deeper levels of trust with our light all the time, because we lived in a world where we couldn't trust that light. Something in us knew inherently, I can't trust the light. You know, I remember as a child, again, feeling that sense of, I'm sure I should be more powerful here. I should be more able to work with my mom's pain and my dad's anger and everything that the world around me is going through. Something in me knew, well, I should be able to shine my light. I didn't realize that I was living in a realm where that light was so depotentized, that it wasn't able to do what it's designed to do. So then instead, and it wasn't just me that did this, instead of, as a society, as a collective, especially as light workers, instead of exuding our light and shining our light, we learned to absorb the darkness. It's almost like, well, that's the next best thing. If I can't make your pain go away from you, parents, world, then I'll just take it into me. Surely then that'll dissolve everything and resolve everything. I can hold this. I can carry this. Light workers have a terrible capacity. And I do mean it's a really horrible capacity for holding darkness, for taking in darkness, because something in us knows that we're able to transmute it. We just didn't have the tools available to us to transmute it. So there's new light. There's a new frequency of light. I wouldn't say it's new light. I would say it's the light that's always been there, but it's newly available to us at a degree or at a frequency that we couldn't access before. Your light is more powerful than you realize. The receiving now, the receptivity of that light, it's going to become your superpower. So let's do a little practice together of that love activation that I spoke about earlier from my heart. All the way to yours. Let love in. Let light in. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself be held as the love that you are by the love that is, was, and always has been. That is God's love. It's okay now to receive the light that has always been there but unavailable and out of reach. It's okay now to be loved deeper, deeper, much deeper than you've ever let in before. It's safe. So what does it feel like when I say the following? The love in me loves the love in you. The love in me sees and knows the love in you. What does that feel like when you get to take that in? The light in me sees the light in you. The Christed heart in me loves the Christed heart in you. And you know that that has nothing to do with a religion. That has everything to do with our capacity for unconditional love. We're here to purify and cleanse all of the illusions, all of the confusions. We are here to be the light, and it begins with you and me being the light. You can limit your capacity to do that by choosing words or using words that you say, oh, I only like this word, I don't like that word, I only like this expression, I don't like that expression. That's very heavy head-based stuff, and it's going to get in the way of your capacity to just feel love. That was good. I felt that. I felt how most of you just went, oh, right. Oh yeah, I get to get out of my head and into my heart now. I get to stop thinking and analyzing and just be loved. I get to be seen as love. And I ask you again, what does that feel like? To be seen as you are, as just love. Okay, so together we're going to keep bolstering the love light that you are. If you feel called or ready even to work at a deeper level, then come into my online community, the Plasma Light Tribe, where I can really work with you. And together we go deeper every week, deeper and deeper into the love light that we are. Speak to you really soon. Drop me a like on this video, leave a comment. Obviously that interaction helps more people to receive access to this content, or just go and share it with them. Lots of love, everyone. I'm going to leave a video for you up here that explains a bit more about alchemy. I think this would be an excellent video to watch after this one, because you're going to have a lot of questions. Put them in the comments below, but do go watch this video too. Lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.